This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is Not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hi, this is the franchise player, Shady Nattrass, pro wrestler from the UK, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. Interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. Sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J. And it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with Shady Nattrass.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Could you tell us what you got coming up next?
The next I have to be announced is my debut for Wrestle Island here in the UK, and I'm looking forward to that on their 6th anniversary show, and that's the 27th of November, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay, and where can we find you on social media and watching this?
Social media, it's at Shady Nattrass, and you can pretty much find me anywhere on that, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I have over, I think I'm up to 60 matches up there, full matches, with the likes of Paul London, Ricochet, Jeff Cobb, the list goes on and on. And ShadyNattrass.BigCartel.com, and if you're wanting a t-shirt from the US, they are actually printed locally to wherever you are, so there'll be no international shipping charge, which is always a bonus.
Oh, definitely. Alright, and you don't need to go looking for those websites. All of the links will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. Alright, you wrestle for Target Wrestling, which is actually owned by your brother. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's Tiger Wrestling is a local promotion, but I've actually moved on from there and leaving them to do their thing and branching myself out to the likes of PCW and Bolton Town Wrestling and Pro 2 Wrestling up in Scotland. So I've been branching out a lot more and kind of trying to move on with my career and just kind of freshen things up rather than just reinventing myself at Target and only basically wrestling in front of that crowd. The more promotions I get out and about to, the more people get to see me. So that's been my aim recently. Like this start of this year, I kind of went out and about elsewhere, and I've been enjoying it. It's been a nice change, getting to meet some new faces on the scene, and I've been able to be a bit of elder statesman for a lot of the younger guys and be able to give them some feedback and help them on their careers.
What kind of brought on that excursion per se to venture out of Target Wrestling? Obviously, you're more known for being a Target Wrestling guy. So what kind of venture out outside of that?
It's kind of just been conflict of interest between myself and my brother, and it made sense for me and my career to, rather than just, as I say, just stay there and almost stagnate. As I say, head to these different promotions and and spread my name out a bit more, and that's what I've been doing. And as I just said, I've been really enjoying it, getting to work with a lot of new people and push myself a bit more.
All right. Well, you coming out of the 2 years removed from the pandemic, and
Yeah.
It seemed like the pandemic kind of hit England a lot harder than maybe the U.S. per se. Not to mention, all of the other things that came out before that. So where is kind
Yeah.
of British pro wrestling now in 2022, post pandemic, post speaking out, post everything that happened?
Well, it's kind of in almost a weird limbo at the moment. You've got I think a lot of the crowd figures are down, but that's kind of understandable with people's mentalities, with large groups of people and things. And obviously, anybody that was affected with speaking out was kind of either as fans have stepped away from wrestling, or they're being a bit pickier with which shows they do attend. But as far as the shows themselves and the in-ring talent, in fact, I probably think it's better than it was previously, just because of more faces, more numbers. The wrestlers, they don't get just the same handful of guys that are wrestling on shows all over the country. The range of wrestlers on these shows are just vast. So many have come out from the pandemic and have just like gone flying. The likes of Joe Lando, who ended up wrestling at GCW, he kind of kept himself occupied during lockdown with he has a ring, so he just made videos in his backyard with a load of mats and doing lots of flips. And he as I say, came out of the pandemic, and everybody wanted a piece of it, and he's done great for himself, and like, he is a really good talent.
Alright. Now, you wrestled Doug Williams, which is,
Yep.
one of the bigger names to come out of UK, maybe one of the most well-respected as well. What was that experience like?
It was definitely a learning experience, and a one that I kind of Doug is like, you know what you're going to get when you work with Doug, and I was nervous, probably more nervous than wrestling one of the US imports, because Doug is obviously from the British scene, and the likes of, if you wrestle with an import from while you're in the UK, you kind of, you have your match and then they go. Whereas the likes of wrestling somebody like Doug, or I've wrestled Jodie Fleisch as well, wrestle them, they are still top of the UK scene. So it has close to home ramifications of if I do well or not. So I kind of felt the pressure a lot more on that than I have on some of the US wrestlers that I've worked with.
I can imagine, because the home field advantage per se.
yeah, definitely.
Well, you had the home field advantage when you wrestled Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor title, and you also defended the Target the high octane title. The high octane title.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, competing for the Ring of Honor title against another guy that's obviously well respected in pro wrestling?
It was it was a great achievement for myself getting being able to say that I've wrestled for the Ring of Honor World Title. I remember getting the original show on from the tape traders when Ring of Honor first started. So to be able to say I've challenged for the title was it meant a big deal for me, and I think me and Jay worked really well together, and I think we had a really good match and lots of fun as well.
Now there was a misplanned miscue, correct?
Yes, yeah. With there was a title shot in the match where he had the belt in his hand, and after he hit me, he threw it out the ring. Unfortunately, we needed it for the next spot. Luckily, we had the second belt that we could use as a replacement. So it wasn't noticed by anybody other than myself and Jay. But I don't think it added it made any problems with the match. So it was just one of those things that happens.
From my perspective, it seemed like he just drove it maybe a little more harder than he anticipated, and it just fell off his ring.
Yeah. It was just on, as I say, like the other side is when you usually do a spot like that, you try and kind of get the title as far away from the wrestling as possible. So you do try and make sure it's at least at the edge of the ring. So I do understand where his slight problem came from, but it wasn't, as I say, it wasn't an issue to disrupt either of us. Both of us are professionals.
Oh, for sure. It was cool to see Jay Lethal with the cornrows again. He's been rocking the bald look for some time now.
Yeah. Jay seems to get quite a bit of stick because he isn't. I don't think he's everybody's cup of tea, but you can't deny his quality in the ring. And yeah, as I say, I've always been a fan of Jay's.
Who's giving Jay Lethal slack? I've always loved Jay Lethal.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people seem to find him boring and stuff like that, and it's like, just go watch something else.
Now, we talked about your brother being the promoter of Target Wrestling. Your other brother is also a pro wrestler, XL Nattrass. There's a B Nattrass and a J Nattrass. Yeah,
we've all wrestled in some way, shape, or form over the years, and it's been good when we have wrestled. XL and B don't really wrestle anymore, and J's only occasional. So I'm the only consistent one of the four of us.
Last Nattrass standing.
Definitely.
But obviously that family bond when you're in the ring. Does it kind of? What's the mentality when you're in there? Obviously, with your family.
At first it was always if we were working against each other, we were going harder than we usually would, because we kind of have that safety barrier of, family. And when we tag together, it just you know what each other's going to do, and but over time we've all kind of changed our styles and our outlook on wrestling, and we became very different wrestlers. And I found it very tricky to wrestle my style against them, and it was one of those things where it's just like we're kind of better off apart, I think, as far as in the ring. And I kind of feel like I seem to have taken my place as the number one of the group.
Well, staying on the topic of family, your niece is a wrestler as well. She valeted for you, correct?
She is a valet. Well, she did valet for us as well, yes. And that was funny. She wasn't very. I'd say she wasn't very confident, but I think it was confident in front of a local crowd. When she did it outside of our city, she nailed it. And like she valeted for me against Rampage Brown, and Rampage is like, for me, probably the number one heavyweight in Europe.
Oh yeah.
And she like. There was no hesitation working with him. She just kind of took her role, and you'd have thought that she'd been doing it for years. And she was still only a teenager at the time, so to have that level of confidence in what you're doing, it was a nice change. I think it was a nice change seeing her actually on the show rather than just being there.
For sure. Now, she hasn't taken the Nattrass name, right?
No. She did. She went by the name Pandora Nattrass when we did the Nattrass Dynasty gimmick, and she managed. She was the valet for us, and there was myself, XL, and B in a 6-man with, as I say, Pandora as our valet, which was a nice moment for us.
I can imagine all family present.
Yeah.
All right. Can you tell us about Pro Wrestling is Real Life?
Yeah, it started during the pandemic, and I had to kind of think of a way to keep myself relevant in wrestling. So I kind of thought, rather than just recycle posting my match footage out over and over again, I started recording like openings and outros to kind of just give a little bit of insight into what wrestling can be like. And once the pandemic was over and my time schedule kind of filled back up again, I kind of cut the intros and outros out, but I have still been posting matches up there recently, and as I say, we're up to 60 something matches I think we've got up there, which I've still got quite a few in the tank to go, and as soon as I get any more footage, I always try and post it when I can. Just to kind of keep my my work out there and in a fresher format.
No, for sure. And I did notice like the last couple of videos had the intro and outro. Will we see the return of that?
I'm not sure yet. I suppose it kind of depends if people want to see it. I just like getting the footage out there, and I don't see myself as a confident person, so filming things like that, like when I'm doing promos and the likes, I can kind of just go into character, but doing it as myself, I can kind of feel a bit more pressure if that makes sense, rather than being able to hide behind Shady Nattrass.
I get that, but watching a few of them, I really appreciated you coming out before the match and talking about the experience, because we're all about the experience here on Wrestling Life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I suppose if people are interested, they can always get behind whether I should do some more, and I'll definitely take that on board. And I just want to find a way of getting more eyes on myself, and if that means people want to see me kind of give a little bit behind the scenes of wrestling, really, not just the match that I'm sharing. I'm more than willing to give it a go.
Right. Now, I only bring this up because it is on your YouTube channel. Could you tell us about what Shady Nattrass get beat up?
Well, one of the things that I kind of pride myself on is I like to try and make my opponent look as good as possible. Unfortunately, this means I have to take some quite nasty moves, and because I am generally a heel, people like seeing me get beat up. So I thought, why not just kind of satisfy their needs, and they can have some little clips.
Oh, I get that. Usually it's the fans that make those kind of videos, not the actual wrestler. It's
my thinking behind it is when a wrestler puts out a promotional highlight video, it's always the wrestler doing the moves.
Yeah.
So to kind of show the other side, hey, I don't just do moves, I can take them as well. That's kind of why I started it. Just to kind of I feel like I've taken some big moves off some big wrestlers, and the likes of, like we was talking about Doug earlier, Doug hit me with the Chaos Theory, which I think is a really cool move, and to kind of show off that I've taken that. Paul London Shooting Star, Tommy End's Fade to Black. There's Jeff Cobb's Tour of the Island. There's been some big moves that I've taken, so I just kind of wanted to share them with people in a more fun way as far as I get beat up goes.
Just a quick tidbit. The Doug Williams finisher, one of the most underrated, most flashy, interesting finisher out there today. Still.
And it's and the strange thing is it's flashy and simple at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a German suplex, right?
yeah, it just got the roll in front of it, which most people just kind of do that into a pin, but to follow through with the German suplex, it does look impressive.
Oh, for sure. I really dug it. I thought it was a cool move.
Yeah.
Speaking about Paul London, can you tell us about your relationship with Paul London?
Well, Paul's like one of my best friends now, and like I said earlier, I remember getting tapes from tape traders with the Ring of Honor shows when he had his first match there. So to then go to work with him was like quite mind blowing for me anyway. But from there to kind of have our friendship grow, and we once when we had our first match, we just connected and we had a bond from there, and it was strange because I've never had matches like that before, or since, other than with Paul, where you have that connection, and like both times we're both in tears afterwards because it's just the energy's there, the emotion. I think we both bring out of each other, and yeah, he's like Paul's the most underrated wrestler in the world. He should be getting booked everywhere, and I want to see him wrestle more, because if you think some of the names on the independent scene at the moment, being in there with Paul will not only give us great matches, but it would help these names as well. So yeah, I'm all for seeing more Paul London in pro wrestling.
But it's crazy. Like, you had like an instant connection with this guy. What do you kind of attribute that to?
I genuinely really don't know, because maybe 2 weeks prior to our first match, I had glandular fever, and I was bedridden for maybe 2 weeks, and the thought of wrestling was out of sight. Never mind actually wrestling with Paul London. And so we worked the show. We had I took a baseball slide on the outside, and I'm lying on the floor, and my chest is on fire. I'm like, I can't breathe here. I'm not going to be able to make it through this. And then we just we carried on, and he went for his slingshot Oklahoma roll, and he drove his shoulder into my elbow, forcing my arm the wrong way, and I thought I'd broken my arm.
Oh, God.
So I'm there in the ring, clutching my arm, struggling to breathe, and like I'd say to him, I says, "Look, I've hurt my arm here." So he tells us to go to the outside and kind of regroup. So I'm on the outside, and it's like, okay, I can carry on. It's really, really hurting us, but I can carry on. So we carry on, and I say to him, "Look, I'm okay to keep going, but you're gonna have to guide me here, just in case I don't follow because of the pain." And so do a few spots, and before every move, he's asking me, "Are you okay? You okay?" And then he goes, "I've forgotten what's next." so luckily I was still following it, and we just carried on, and yeah, it was. We had he hit the shooting star off the second rope, and the place went nuts. And then he was on the microphone putting me over, and I was genuinely in tears, so full of emotion, because Paul London was saying how good I was, and the only thing I've ever wanted to be good at is pro wrestling, and to have Paul London tell me that I'm a good wrestler was mind blowing, and it was just too much for me, really. But then it led to our second match 2 years later, which was for the High Octane title again, and this time I was the heel, and every title defense I had had a cheap victory, whether it was I was getting disqualified, or I was hitting them with the belt behind the ref's back, and things like that. So I had put a challenge out to anybody, an open challenge, and Paul came out as a surprise on the night, and the reaction for him was unreal. I had goosebumps standing in the ring when he was coming out, and then for him we went through all. Basically, I tried every trick in the book that I had used previously, and none of them were working. And then Paul beat me for the title, and I think the reaction was as much because in the UK it's rare for the import to win the title. So to have him win the title, it just blew people away. And there was more injuries in this match as well. So I had managed to split Paul's head open. But before the match, he had suggested I give him a back body drop on the outside. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that on the concrete. But there was a stage, so if we head to the stage, it's going to be a softer landing. So I back body drop him. He lands. The referee comes to us and says he split his head open, and there was blood everywhere. So we carried on. He hits the shooting star press, knocks me out.
Oh.
So I'm out cold. Luckily, I wasn't kicking out with the 3 because I was only coming round as the 3 count was going down. But it was just those things. It happens in wrestling. It's dangerous what we do.
Right.
But it all just added to it. It made it feel real. And yeah, same again. It's just that the chemistry that we had. It's like Paul's just the best. I actually just spoke to him about half an hour before I started speaking to you. We regularly in touch, and like on my kids' birthdays, he'll send us a voice message saying happy birthday to them and things like that. And yeah, he's genuinely just the best guy ever. He's like, I love Paul so much.
That's awesome to have that connection afterwards. And
yeah, like I said, it wasn't like we don't particularly have a lot in common other than wrestling.
I mean,
but
sometimes that's
just
all you
one
need.
of those things. Yeah, it really is.
Right. You talked about, how Paul London put you over. I kind of feel like Roderick Strong really put you over as well. What was that match like? How hard does Roderick Strong hit, and what did that aftermath feel like?
Well, the thing with Roderick is Roddy isn't just about how hard he hits. The man is a machine. It's brutal on your body. Just wrestling with him is brutal on your body. And like I felt like I had been in a fight when I had finished. And I think he was actually PWG champion at the time, which shows the level that he was at when I was working him. And yeah, it was. There was a couple of miscommunications between us, and I'm very much my biggest critic, and I very much beat myself up afterwards. But then the more I thought about it, it was one of those things where no, I actually think I was right to do what I was doing, and it was like nobody complained. The match was good. But yeah, it was brutal. Roddy's an absolute beast. I think Roddy is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, because we had people on before that wrestled Roderick, and they were like, those chops were something else.
yeah. As I say, he's a machine, and it was, as I say, it was the toll it took on my body. Just wrestling with him and keeping up with him as much as the impact of him.
And obviously after the match, he kind of put you over in front of the crowd. How did that feel?
It was really it was great because, as I say, I was already in the mindset of beating myself up about it, and for him to put me over on the mic was great. And that match and the following match I had it was Chris Masters. I wrestled the next day, and I refused the handshake both days, and that was kind of the tease of my heel turn. But I kind of put it out as I apologised. It was a heat of the moment thing. It was disrespectful of me to not shake the hands, and basically said I'd do better. But then I ended up turning on the fans because for me to have a really good heel, there has to be a legitimate reason why they act the way that they act. And my reason was we were in my hometown in front of my hometown fans, and I was still a good guy, but they were cheering for the import, and that didn't feel like it sat right with me. Whereas, you know what I mean, I'm there every month putting the work in, whereas these people just turn up one time and get more cheers.
Right.
It kind of legitimized the reason why I turned against the fans. And like I had been lucky to wrestle, as I said, them two, and Sir Paul and Al Snow and Chris Sabin, and I was always the face, but it was still the import that was getting the bigger cheers.
Right.
So for me to turn that way, it worked, and it gave them a reason to hate me, and then that led to the I Hate Wrestling Fans T-shirts.
Which I must say is one of the greatest wrestling shirts of all time. Like,
it's just so simple. It's so simple.
It's so simple, but like immediately, like if you don't know who you are and you wear that shirt, like you immediately know, I don't like this guy.
And that's the point. It's I'm very much, my wrestling is pretty much to the point. I go out there to get booed, and wearing that T-shirt and having a miserable look on my face, I'm going to get booed. And then these same fans that I say I hate are then going to go to the merch table and buy my T-shirts that say I hate wrestling fans on.
Well, hey, maybe they hate wrestling fans too.
Yeah, the irony isn't lost on me, and I'll quite happily sell as many as I can.
Oh, absolutely. Sell them if you got them, right?
Yep, exactly.
Now, we've been talking about big bumps, all these bumps that you've been taking, but you had a match with 0 bumps?
yeah, with against DCT, and it wasn't done out of laziness, which I think a lot of you hear like about old timers, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm not bumping for you, kid." But it wasn't like that. It was very much let's see how creative we can get, and we nailed it, and the fans didn't even realise that we didn't take a bump. So to kind of be able to do that, it was very much a nice notch in the belt for myself and for DCT.
No, I don't see it as lazy. I see it as a really, like, something a really skilled wrestler could do. Like, if you could take a match with 0 bumps and have nobody notice and the crowd be into it, then that's that's an art form on another level, if you're asking me.
Yeah, and that's, as I said, that was my reasoning. As soon as DCT had got to the venue, I put it to him and says, "Look, let's do this. I mean, it's going to be physically easier for us because we aren't going to be bumping, but mentally, we're going to have to come up with some different ways of doing things. Like we still had a double down, but we used a top rope axe handle, and I kind of bumped to my knees and down rather than taking an actual bump. So it was more like I stumbled to the mat rather than falling. I took a spill to the outside, but I landed on my feet when I got thrown out, and then sold it. And as I said, nobody questioned it. because they were into the story, into the characters, and that's the point of wrestling.
Oh yeah, when the psychology is, when you have the fans kind of not notice and just notice the psychology, that's definitely a win.
And it like I personally I don't think there's any such thing as pro wrestling psychology, because what it is common sense. And so many people kind of go, oh, but wrestling psychology means like, oh, I should do this and then do this. And it's like, no, it's like, if it doesn't make sense, don't do it. People overcomplicate everything. And the one thing that any wrestler should say when they are coming together with spots is why. Why are we doing this? Why am I going to do this spot? Why am I going to do this move? Because if you haven't got an answer for it, then why are you doing it? if you don't know why you're doing it, then the fans aren't going to know why.
You're absolutely right about that. No, that's yes, absolutely.
It's like I know I kind of feel like I set myself apart from a lot of wrestlers because I'm very open with how I wrestle, because it's my style, and my style of wrestling is going to work into anybody else's style. Because if you watch any match of mine on YouTube, you'll notice that they're all Shady Nattrass matches, but every single one of them is different.
Yeah.
So to be able to have a clear style while still wrestling totally different matches means that I'm applying my wrestling theories to wrestling in general, not just, hey, I'm going to have my match and you're going to get used to it. I want the crowd to be involved. I want my opponent to look as good as possible. I want the finish to be a real reaction, whether it's I'm winning or losing. It's as long as the fans are into it, then what we do will work.
You don't get comfortable doing one thing, is what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, and it does work for you. I mean, you've had the matches with the big names. You're going like over 15 minutes, 20 plus minutes with these guys, and a lot of them do put you over at the end.
Yeah, and like my a lot of them like enjoy working with me because at the end of the day, when you have these big names come into a promotion, the fans want to see them, so they don't need to see me do all of my stuff against these names. They want to see these names do their catalogue of moves. So I'm going to make them look as good as possible by doing what I do, and they're going to enjoy it, which means that they're going to go, hey, I liked working with that guy. And that's always kind of been one of my mindsets. I want to be a wrestler that wrestlers want to work with.
Oh, for sure. I think that's a good segue into our next segment, Shady Nattrass's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Well, probably the kind of the one that was probably my first road trip with a big name was I wrestled P.E. Williams in Middlesbrough, and he was wrestling on the International Showdown event on the Saturday in Coventry, which was about 3 hours drive away. But the promoter had said, "Look, if you can bring him down after the show, then you can come watch the show and just get free tickets," because it was a big event. So I drove. We had the match and everything went well, and we drove down and there was us, me, my brother, and Petey in my car, and 3 of my friends had Samoa Joe in their car because he had worked the same show and was going down to Coventry as well. So we had stopped in a service station at, it'll have been about 3 o'clock in the morning, and to be in there with my brother and my friends and Samoa Joe and Petey Williams was a bit bizarre. And then we got to the venue. They got to the hotel, and the next day, I got a phone call from the promoter, and he's like, "Oh, you've got your car, haven't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, well, would you be able to give myself, CM Punk, and Christopher Daniels a lift to the gym?" So I went and picked them up, and we were driving around Coventry trying to find a gym and couldn't find one. And then we stopped to ask directions, and the guy had fingers missing. And then Punk and Daniels thought that he should be sounding like a pirate, so they were doing pirate impressions. And it was just like, I've no idea what's going on. I'm driving around the city, I don't know. I've got these 2 in the back doing pirate impressions, and it was just like, what is going on? But it was it's one of the moments, like I've wrestled on shows with the likes of David Flair and Bryan Danielson, and to kind of be backstage when the likes of these wrestlers are there, it's always just bizarre. Like I've been out drinking with Hurricane Helms, with Abyss, with Al Snow, and I've been to the gym with Hardcore Holly, and it's bizarre. I went in some toy shops with Jeff Cobb.
Okay.
It's like the experiences I've had in pro wrestling of, like, at the end of the day, I'm just a wrestling fan, and to be where I am, like, I would genuinely have to pinch myself to kind of go, look, I've had a good wrestling career, so as happy as I am with it, I always want more.
Well, now you are leaving out the part where Ace Steel came out of nowhere and bit you, right?
yeah. That it was definitely another time that happened. Yeah, it was.
Now, I am just curious. How much does Abyss drink?
Oh, he was drinking lots of Jaeger bombs, and yeah, like Abyss, just a genuine good guy. Yeah, and he was in Carlisle for, I think he was here for 3 or 4 nights, so we got to hang out with him quite a bit, and yeah, it was experience.
But I mean, what is? And this is just a vision I have in my head. What is it? How is Jeff Cobb in the toy store? What is he looking for? What is he getting?
Well, we had done a radio interview promoting the event, and he was coming to help me take a training session at Target Wrestling. So the gap of time between the interview finishing and the training session, it was like, okay, well, do you want to go to the gym? And he was like, well, there was a toy shop back there. Is it all right if we just go and have a look in there? So I just took him to some local toy shops, and just figures, the the likes of your pop Funkos and things like that. And yeah, it was the nerd that I am enjoyed it, because to meet somebody like Jeff who was well into his nerdy things was lots of fun. And like, he's another one, just genuine nice guy. He gave my youngest daughter a Matanza teddy, because Matanza was her favourite on Lucha Underground. Bear in mind, she was maybe 6 months old or something. And yeah, Matanza was her favourite. So like, I've got a picture of the two of them. And I went to buy one of these teddies off him, and he was like, "Oh, is it for your daughter?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Just have it." And it was like I couldn't be more grateful to him.
Speaking of your daughter, she has quite the impressive collection of pictures with wrestlers.
Yeah, she does. That was kind of done because two reasons. One, I kind of got into the business where the mentality was, you don't get pictures with the wrestlers, or else you just look like a mark. Which, looking back now, it's like, that's just ridiculous.
Right.
You know what I mean? Enjoy your experiences. So when Nova was born, and Nova's my youngest, she's 6 now. Her mum, my girlfriend, who does a very good job of putting up with me and my wrestling obsession. She would always come to the shows and help sell merch and do whatever she can to help support me. So she would bring Nova with her, and the first wrestling show Nova came to, she was only 3 days old.
Starting off young, no?
and then she came to the one the day after as well. So when she was 4 days old, I got a picture of her with Ricochet, and that kind of started the idea of, why don't I just get, anytime we get a chance, get a picture of Nova with the wrestlers. And yeah, it just kind of went from there. And like, she loves watching me wrestle as much, probably just because like, she can boo me without repercussion. She can give me abuse, so I think that's why she enjoys it. But yeah, to kind of see Nova with these names, and have these pictures to kind of look back to, is yeah, it's a great thing for me, because I genuinely I don't really regret things in life, but I do regret missing out on a lot of photographs with people that I've worked with. It's kind of, it is a shame that I missed the opportunity, but yeah, I'm trying to make up for it now with Nova.
Yeah, and I hate hearing that, because I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and during these interviews, and they said, like, I didn't get the picture, and I should have got the picture. And like, if there's one big takeaway, take the damn picture.
Yeah, it really is. Like, at the end of the day, even if these wrestlers that you maybe never ever going to see again, they're not going to think have a second thought about a wrestler asking them for a photo, because it's just a moment. And at the end of the day, pro wrestling is at its absolute best when these moments happen. And whether it's getting a photo with a wrestler and kind of having that memory, or like a match. So yeah, I do kind of kick myself over that.
Well, can you tell us about your impressive Funko Pop collection?
Yeah, well, my my collection is currently over 800.
Wow.
It's luckily, yeah, the girlfriend and my kids all kind of have their things that they like, so the Funkos kind of cover their collections as well. So I collect the likes of your Marvel and DC, and also your retro cartoon type, your Transformers, your G.I. Joe, and your He-Man. My girlfriend's a big Disney fan, so she has a large Disney collection, along with her Pokemon collection. My son has the likes of Yu-Gi-Oh, and he has a lot of Star Wars ones as well. And then you've got my girls they have a collection of all sorts, from Pusheen to Hello Kitty to Trolls, all sorts. They just kind of, hey, I like that one, Dad. Can I have that? and the fun thing for me with wrestling outside of Carlisle now is when I travel to these venues, I look for nearby stores, so I can have a look in stores in different locations, so I can have see if there's anything that can be added to my collection. So I've already spent my wages before I've even made them.
What's one currently in your collection is like your most prized possession? What's the most collectible one?
It's probably not. It's only the most collectible to me, but it's my Shady Nattrass Funko Pop, which was custom made for me.
Oh, that's awesome!
In the classic I Hate Wrestling Fans T-shirt. So it's it's a nice one to kind of have in my collection. But yeah, other than that, the range of characters is too vast for me to pick one, because yeah, I have a large Batman and Spider-Man collection, and they're probably my two go-to characters. But then we have a shelf full of Nova toys from Marvel, so she has her own little collection. So she has a Funko Nova figure and a classic Nova action figure, as well as some graphic novels as well. So yeah, we kind of, to be honest, I think we're running out of space, but I'm sure I'll find another wall to fill full of them.
Is there one that you kind of have your eye on now that you haven't got yet?
Well, funnily enough, I was actually discussing this with somebody earlier. It's a rather strange one, but it's the 80s My Pet Monster. It's quite difficult to get in the UK, and I had the My Pet Monster Teddy when I was a kid. So as soon as I seen that they'd released a Funko, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to get myself that just for nostalgia's sake.
That's the thing with Funko. You don't think that you don't need one, but they literally make everything.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem, because other than my there's very few characters that I have more than one of, other than Batman and Spider-Man. But because they keep putting out obscure characters and stuff, it's like, oh well, I'm gonna have to get that one now. Yeah. I'm gonna have to. Oh, I haven't seen that suit before, so I'm gonna have to get that one. So yeah, it's probably an unhealthy addiction, but I'm not a big. I don't go out socialising a lot. What I do is I spend time with my family. I go to the gym, I wrestle, and I collect my Funkos, and I live a good life as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, for sure. And that life can't be outdone because you're an ice cream connoisseur.
It's ice cream is definitely my weak point. It's probably the downfall to any diet that I'm on. So just having to add that into my calories can be a bit tricky. But yeah, like I could sit and demolish a tub of ice cream daily, easy. And yeah, it's like, oh yeah, just a massive, massive ice cream fan. And I know when I've been in the US, the range of flavors, it makes the UK selection pitiful.
Really?
So yeah, it really, really does. So yeah, it's like seeing when the likes of Ben and Jerry's and things release new flavors in the States, it's like, oh, I'm just making myself sick not being able to get it.
What's your go-to? What's your favorite?
Oh, it's tough to say. It's I do like a tub of Oreo ice cream. And the Cadbury's Flake as well. I think the Cadbury's Flake one, considering it's just vanilla ice cream with bits of flake in it, it's a lot nicer than it should be. Because it sounds quite boring, but it's like so good.
But sometimes the simpler ones are the best ones.
Yeah, like as I say, I'm more than happy to demolish a tub of that.
Alright, well that brings us to the colossal question. They decide to make a movie about you. It's a high budget a film. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first three songs on the Shady Nattrass wrestling movie soundtrack?
Oh my goodness, you've got us on this one. You'd probably have to have "Without Me" by Eminem, because I used that as my entrance music for a long time, because the start with the "Guess Who's Back again, Shady's back," and it was as a face, it always worked as getting the fans' energy up. So by the time you got out that curtain, they were ready for you. Then I'd go with maybe something a bit light-hearted, high tempo, like a Timber by Kesha and Pitbull.
Okay, sweet.
I think it's just one. It kind of ticks all the boxes for me. It's easy to listen to. You end up singing along and you don't even know the words. Yeah, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the greatest songs ever. And then maybe something like a classic "Rapper's Delight" or something like that by Sugar Hill Gang, because that's just a classic song.
I really dig those three songs.
My music tastes kind of cover a bit of anything, and it all music's a lot like wrestling. It always depends on what mood you're in, what you're enjoying. So I think the more boxes you can tick with, it's the same as ice cream flavors. Do you know what I mean? Some people like chocolate, others like strawberry. So give us a taster of everything, and I'm happy.
Now, you gotta find the name with those three songs. Do you lock them in?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. Well,
they're definitely on my playlist. Definitely.
So we got the soundtrack down. Everybody knows you start the movie with the soundtrack. Not even the script gets written. Now we have to go into casting. Who plays Shady? And you can't say yourself because you're legally obligated to do a family cameo.
I would probably say I've got there's probably a lifespan of characters, of actors to play my role, because I'm a big fan of Stephen Amell.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan of David Boreanaz,
Okay.
and also George Clooney's the best actor of all time, so he can be like old man Shady. So it would have to be somewhere along there.
All right. George Clooney as Shady. I dig it.
Yeah, I'd be all for that.
Now we got the main character cast. Every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people in your movie, and who would play them?
Yeah, well, you can't have me without Paul London, so you need Paul in there.
For sure.
And I don't know if you know, but Paul is actually a very good actor and has done quite a lot of acting work, including there was a film he was part of called Tiger Man, where he played Elvis Presley, and it was a kung fu film.
I want to say I heard about that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Paul can play himself.
I will accept
that. I don't even know who else I'd have in. And okay, so I'll go with people that can be almost villains in the role. So like opponents of mine, I'd have to have Josh Terry in, who he's one of the best high flyers in the UK, and he's outstanding. To play him, I wouldn't like to say. I don't. To be honest, I don't really know many actors. I'm not a big name guy. I tend to, if I'm going to name somebody, it'll probably be somebody from a Marvel or DC film, because that seems to be all I watch. Maybe what if
you would be the only one.
Okay, what about if we go with we'll go with Sebastian Stan, because he can be
okay.
He can be Josh. He can be Josh.
I dig that.
If you're Josh, you'll appreciate that. And the last one you'd have to go with, we'll go with Excel, and we can have Batista. I think he'd like Batista as playing him.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think. And to be honest, the wrestle very similar as well, so it would work.
All right.
He was doing XL bombs a long time before Batista was doing Batista bombs. So.
Well, this is sounding like an awesome movie.
Yeah, I want to watch it.
George Clooney, Paul London, Sebastian Stan, Batista. Pre-order the tickets now. Alright, we don't get people from the UK as much as we would like, but we do have UK exclusive questions. The first one being KFC or Nando's?
KFC for me. I don't fall into the hype of Nando's.
Alright.
It's very overrated for me.
And did Patrick Stewart deserve to be knighted?
Yes, definitely. Considering the man, I'm pretty sure the man doesn't age.
Oh yeah, he's definitely one of. I mean, he's Professor X. Gotta give him
Yeah.
some love.
Yeah, and he's definitely the same person in every role. You don't really you could have a still from any of his films, and it could be any other one.
All right, on to a controversial subject: pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
I'm fine with it. I'm hit or miss with it. If it's on there, I wouldn't mess about taking it off. But yeah, I'm fine with it.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh, okay. I'm not a big Pokemon person, but my girlfriend is, and from watching her play a lot of Pokemon Snap, is it Pancham?
Mudcham?
The grunt, no, Pancham or something. The grumpy little panda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's definitely me. And he just looks miserable, and he's there punching a bamboo shoot. So yeah, that's my favorite one.
For this question, you'll be asked in a wrestling interview: would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual Rock.
Depends how big it is. If it's a decent size and shape, then you could probably get something out of it. But I wouldn't fancy taking a splash from it.
Well, just for a reference, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match, an Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
Psycho Mike's Canadian, isn't
Yes, he is.
Yes, I'm aware of Psycho Mike.
No, I would think a lot more people would be aware of him. Considering that I don't think he's ever wrestled a human being before.
I think he did a couple of shows for PCW over here. Him and a couple of the other Canadian lads had done some shows. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a few shows for PCW and kind of had a little UK versus Canada kind of thing going. So yeah, I do follow as much wrestling as I can. So just to keep an eye on people's names, and Psycho Mike's name has came up before. So I know who you're talking about. So.
All right. And we actually, when we talked to Von Vertigo, we actually talked about his UK tour. So, kind of a full circle moment.
Yeah.
Now we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG.
Oh, I did. Oh, I can't think what it is now. But yeah, Tracy in the early 2000s, Tracy did a lot of touring in the UK, and like he was brilliant. He had me in stitches. Just being Tracy.
You got a Tracy Smothers story?
Not really, but like I say, he seemed to be everywhere in the UK at one point. So I don't think I've got any particular stories though. But yeah, just wrestlers like Tracy, I think they get overlooked by the current crop of wrestlers even with the likes of Rock and Roll Express, like if a current wrestler got given a chance to wrestle the Rock and Roll Express or Tracy when he was alive, they should be jumping at it so they can learn from it. There's so much that you'd learn by being in a ring with these guys, and I think a lot of wrestlers overlook the learning chance rather than they're too busy going, oh well, I want to have this match that everybody could talk about online.
Right.
And it's like wrestle somebody with experience, get your wrestling even better, so when you do have that next match, it'll be even better, and people will be talking about it for longer because you'll probably have a better foundation.
For sure. And just so you know, T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because a Doug can't spell.
Yeah, he's like, he was so funny, and the way that his facial expressions told so much. Yeah, it's like so good.
Yeah, we love Trace. Like you said, a guy that doesn't get his flowers as much as he should. So we're trying to keep the memory alive here on Wrestling
Yeah,
With.
I'm all for that.
Right. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully still wrestling and just keep doing what I'm doing at the moment, because I'm kind of feel like since leaving Target, I've kind of rejuvenated myself and got myself a new role as almost a elder statesman in the scene, and kind of being able to help a lot of the less experienced guys, especially at PCW, which has introduced me to a lot more in the Northwest talent. So yeah, just keep doing what I'm doing and trying to pass on as much help as I can to the next generation.
Alright, and what's a match people should go out of their way to see that shows off what Shady is all about?
It's like the thing with myself is, if you look at the match list that I've got for my YouTube channel, is there's so many big names in there that you can just literally just pick one and kind of go, okay, I get what Shady's about now. That's it. I'm gonna have to watch some more. So probably if I was to give you 3, it would be maybe my first match with Paul, one of my matches with Josh Terry, and my match with Martin Kirby, because Martin Kirby is one of the best wrestlers in the UK, and they're kind of, I think them 3 matches kind of sum me up quite well. And as soon as I get footage, I'll have a copy of my match with Dean Allmark from the last Bolton Town Wrestling show, which is probably the best match I've had in years. It just worked. Myself and Dean he's very much a babyface to my villain, so we worked brilliantly together, and the crowd were into it. Considering neither of us had wrestled there before, the fans were into it, and they were going nuts. So for me, that match was one of my favourite matches I've had in a long time, and it was nice to be able to push myself to keep up with Dean as well, because Dean, Dean's wrestled Jushin Liger. so's Martin Kirby, actually. So like to be in the ring with lads like that who are classed as friends is it's always good. And Dean actually helped me when I first started back in 2001. So for both of us being in wrestling 21 years, it's only the second time we've actually wrestled each other. So, so it's kind of been nice to see the progression in both of us, and like we couldn't have given the fans, well, we could have given the fans more, but we didn't need to. So it was it was lots of fun for both of us. So it was, as soon as I have footage of that'll be going online.
And the first 3 matches you said, those can be found on your YouTube page, correct?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. If you just search for Shady Nattrass on YouTube, you'll find it. So it's
you don't even.
It's always.
You don't need to type it in. I'll find the matches. I'll put them in the
perfect.
description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox, and your YouTube channel as well. For anybody that hasn't seen them, wants to re-see them after this interview.
Yeah, definitely.
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is your speed round, or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Yep.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Mr. Perfect.
Worst wrestler.
I wouldn't like to say, because wrestling's very. It all depends on people's preference, so it's all very preferential wrestling. So, for me, there isn't a worst that stands out. So I'll kind of leave that a blank.
Well, we'll give you the default answer. You have chosen Eva Marie.
Fair.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Paul London.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Oh, Public Enemy. Inikamosi, Here Comes the Hot Stepper.
Sweet. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Not real.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast. Squash. Fruit or vegetable?
I'd say vegetable.
It's a fruit.
Yeah. I kind of thought it was one of those trick questions, but I'd still class it as a vegetable.
Well, it's tomato logic. It has seeds.
Yeah.
You're part of Squash Squad now, and that means more. New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Oh, 90-10 trunks.
So 10% cheek?
Yeah, you don't need any more than that.
Fair enough. And the main event, the last question, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, not in a supermarket, and not about Darby Allin. But I have ended up having plenty of random conversations about wrestling with all sorts of people. I have talked with somebody at a checkout queue at a supermarket, because I was wearing a wrestling t-shirt, so they kind of brought up wrestling. So I have had a conversation about wrestling in the supermarket with a stranger, but not about Darby Allin.
And that is the correct answer. That will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Once again, where can we find you on social media?
At Shady Nattrass on Twitter, and if you're on Facebook, facebook.com/Shady Nattrass. At Shady Nattrass is the general social media handle, so it keeps things nice and easy. And search for Shady Nattrass on YouTube, and as James says, he's going to have some links up there, so go on there, get some matches watched, and head to shadynattrass.bigcartel.com and grab yourself a t-shirt or two.
And of course, you don't have to type it into your Google machine. Those links will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link and a new tab will appear on whatever device you're on. You have no excuse. You've been listening to him for almost an hour and a half. Buy a damn short. Of course, if you like, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for another incredible interview. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WRESTLINGWITHE. On Twitter, you'll get information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and a lot more. You can follow me personally at JamesJ993. You can follow Scooter at ScooterDust, and on the Remix on YouTube, the only live alternative commentary for WWE PLEs, and on the Smoking Dragons Twitch stream. Alright, Shady, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment.
Cool.
For our very special guest, Shady Nattrass, Calico Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been a Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys, we appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.